Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about what is my ex thinking about on Christmas?
It's probably what you're thinking about on Christmas.
The holidays are really challenging when you're going through a breakup because it feels like there's added pressure for them to reach out. You're stressed that if they don't reach out for Christmas or New Year's, that it's it, they're done, they're never going to come back. That's simply not the case. You know, for most of us, the holidays are supposed to be a break.
I know. If you're going through a breakup, it's not a mental break at all.
Yeah. So now with all this free time that you have, you're just obsessing nonstop about where your ex is at, what they're doing, if they're thinking about you, if they're missing you for Christmas, and if they're going to reach out.
Right. And while you might be off from work, you might be having more time to check your phone to see if they've reached out. It can become very neurotic around the holidays.
Yep.
So what might be happening on your ex's side is they might be consumed with family. We know that the holidays just in general can be a time where people gather and get together and people fly in from different cities to be with family. And so your ex could be consumed with that family time and their schedule might be really busy.
Yep.
That could be distracting them, keeping their mind busy. They probably don't want to think about the breakup, especially if it was something that was recent. So they're probably trying to be as present as they can be with family and trying to kind of push through those feelings from the breakup. They could also be dealing with dysfunctional families. And I say this because we talk a lot about attachment styles on the channel. And if your ex is going back home for the holidays to be around family, they're going back to that system that created whatever attachment style they have. So keep that in mind. That can stir up a lot of feelings and emotions.
It really does. You've got the mom. So you didn't bring so-and-so home for Christmas this year. It was looking so good last year. I thought we had talked about grandbabies.
Right? Or it could be the opposite. Or if the family didn't like you, it could be, oh, we're so glad you got rid of him. Right?
Yeah.
So families can have some influence on your ex one way or the other. Now, this really matters if your ex is individuated enough to make their own decisions, to be able to go back home for the holidays and be able to stay grounded and stay sane. I know that can be a feat for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But that's really what we're looking at. And keep in mind that some people have had traumatic experiences with their family, abuse growing up, or from family members or friends of the family that might be around for Christmas.
Very true.
So this could be a time that's, really triggering for an ex.
Not only that, there's a lot of disappointment at Christmas. When you're growing up as kids and there's certain things that you're hoping to get or want, and a lot of times you don't get those things stick with you. Even though it was like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you're like, man, that one thing that I wanted for Christmas, and they didn't get it for me. Why? They could have. I begged for it. I was good. And there's a lot of hurt and anger there.
Yeah.
And all that's going to get brought up going back home. And you have to look at these people that you're still holding a grudge about.
Yeah. Yeah. Families can be a big reasons as to why breakups happen, and that's why we bring it up. Holidays, people are around their family, it can trigger a lot of feelings. So just keep that in mind. It can be a really huge part of a relationship.
Yep.
So this can also be a time of reflection on the year, their choices and the things that have changed throughout the year. The holidays, like we said, it's a different pace. And so it can make people a lot more emotional in general, and it can make them a lot more self-reflective.
Sure.
So if the two of you were in a longer term relationship, let's say you had spent past holidays together, that's something that they likely will be reflecting on too. How is this year different than last year? Which I'm sure is also something that you're thinking about as well.
Not only that, but they start to think about the new year because obviously
right
Christmas is so close to the New Year's. And so that comes into play of, wow, I thought this was going to happen this coming year. We were going to get engaged or get married, and we talked about living together. And so all those components are going to come up for them as well. And they're going to feel that loss, that grief, that sadness. And it's not going to be like black or white. They're going to vacillate between those different feelings and thoughts.
Yeah.
So it's going to be confusing for them as well, even if they don't show it to you. Okay. At the time of the breakup, they're going to look firm in their decision. But you're going to find that once your ex reaches out, if you stay quiet, they will start to tell you all these things. I just had a guy last week that now his ex is telling him, I think about you every day. I've been thought about you all the time. I don't know where I want us to go yet, but, and he was shocked because for him it was coming out of nowhere, but it happens a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's true that they won't, let on that they're feeling these things or thinking about these things because they are probably around family or doing whatever they do for the holidays and trying to be involved with that and distract themselves. They might be in that separation elation stage right after the breakup where they're just trying to go out and be around people. So they can be in a completely different mindset than you, but they are still experiencing those thoughts and emotions at times too.
Yeah. And then you have some people that are seeing somebody new and they're introducing this new person to the family. And a lot of times the family doesn't like them.
Yeah.
I don't like this new person. Where is Phil?
Right.
Where is that? I really like that last one. And now you're bringing someone new around. I don't like the idea of this. I'm upset by it. And they're angry and they'll let your ex know. This person doesn't compare.
And I'll say, even if the family didn't like you, let's say, whoever knew that they're bringing to the family holidays, that's going to bring a level of pressure to that rebound relationship. That's going to be hard to move past. And then comes that fear of commitment shortly after. So if you see that your ex has moved on quickly, that now they're celebrating the holidays with someone new, I know there can be that panic of what if she or he or they found their person after our relationship? Now they're already spending the holidays together. I can't believe that they already met the family and it took me a year or more to meet the family.
Yeah.
So there can be all of this comparison and wondering what's going on your ex's side and how the family is receiving the new person. But that level of pressure, especially if it was shortly after your breakup, is not going to be something that's conducive for a healthy, nicely paced relationship.
Yeah.
So it can cause a lot of problems.
So it's going to bring a lot of feelings up for your ex, a lot of thoughts up for your ex, good and bad, the things that were good between you and the things that they were upset about and bothered with. Now they're going to compare the new person to you if there's a new person in the background and what the family thinks about the new person, good and bad. And so all of these things are going to make your ex review, reflect, and miss you. Because a lot of times if there is a rebound involved, they don't compare to you. The initial excitement and the lust and that it feels like like getting Buzz Lightyear at the beginning of Toy Story, where Andy's so excited about Buzz Lightyear. That's what happens. They have their new toy, but that wears off. And the more issues that this new person has, the faster it's going to wear off. And they're going to think, wow, so-and-so wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't have said that. They wouldn't have acted this way around my family. They were good with my family. So there's going to be a lot that comes up. And even thinking about what happened last year.
Yeah.
Last Christmas we were in Mexico together,
Yeah. So these memories, they do pop up for your ex too. Now, they're not going to have probably that same level of, oh my gosh, is my ex reaching out to me? But many of you ask, are they just going to forget about me? Are they going to think about me at all over the holidays? And if the two of you had any form of attachment, more than likely, yes.
They're going to be thinking about you. It's impossible not to think about somebody that you cared about, even if they're not thinking about coming back yet or that things can work out with you yet. It doesn't mean that they're not thinking about things.
Right. And even if they're in that separation elation stage.
Yeah. But many of you guys are obsessed about what they're thinking about right now. What you really need to be thinking about is how can I grow? How can I learn from this? How can I better myself in no contact? Because if they do come back, I want to be ready.
Yeah. And the holidays will come and pass. So remember that. This can be a season where it is self-reflective, emotional, time with family. You may be spending time with your family as well. That can bring up a lot of emotions. Maybe those feelings of abandonment back up, which can make the breakup feel even harder over the holidays. But this too shall come and pass. There will be a season after the holiday season where things will come back to their regular pace, whether it's work, school, your lives, and then things will start to feel quote unquote normal again. Yep. More of that other kind of reflection will happen of what does my day-to-day life look like now after the breakup. So things change.
A lot to think about. Hopefully this one's been helpful to you. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Zoom calls. Coach Victoria is also available for Zoom coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.